Okay, we had the new parts come through from the factory. We'll get them on the car ahead of FP1.
Welcome back to the F1 2018 career mode here, guys, and you join me for the opening round of Season 3 with all of our upgrades in the Mercedes team. We're going for the world title this year. Chassis upgrades, downforce upgrades, power upgrades. Quali's going to be limited because it's going to rain at the end. Nice dry race. Let's just jump straight into this weekend and see what the results are.
Welcome to Melbourne, where qualifying for the Australian Grand Prix should be getting underway shortly.
So here we go, fastest lap of the whole weekend coming right now as we give it maximum attack, max fuel mixture, hot lap mode. Currently, we're sitting P18. It's been a long time since I've driven a lap of Australia in anger, and that goes to show because I was not quite on my regular sort of pace that I would want to be on. As you can see, we've actually gone deep there in turn 3, and like I said, there's limited time because it's going to rain at the end of qualifying. So we're pretty much only going to get our first run, which puts us 18th, and this second run, which is going to be the one that counts. So here we go into turn 6. I didn't make the corner as wide as I could have done. That's cost me a little bit of time, but we now head down towards one of the hardest corners on the circuit, turn 9. Difficult to judge a braking point. You don't want to take too much inside curb, and you don't want to take too much outside curb. I sort of tapped it, and that hampered my acceleration. But now we're going to save a little bit of ERS as we head down towards turns 11 and 12, the left-right chicane. Just got to attack it as much as possible on the DRS, and that was good. Could have potentially gone better, but we're not up too much on my previous lap. However, I made a lot of mistakes in the final sector last time around. You see now we're over 2 tenths up as we come through to the penultimate corner, 3 tenths up now as we brake a little bit wide again on the apex, but over half a second up as we come through the final corner on the power, over 6 tenths up now. Hot lap mode, we're going to run out of the ERS, charging towards the line. It's over 7.5 tenths, and it puts us provisionally P11. Cars are on their laps. Don't know how that's going to stack up. Let's get ourselves prepared for the opening round of Season 3.
New drivers, new cars, and a new Formula One season. But it's the same Albert Park that we've come to know and love for more than 2 decades now that hosts the first round of a 21-race championship, taking us from here in Melbourne, Australia, across the globe before we eventually reach the season finale at Yas Marina Circuit in Abu Dhabi. So here we are at Albert Park Circuit. 3.3 miles of public roads, closed for the weekend of course, make for a bumpy surface with little undulation. There are 16 corners around the lake with the best passing opportunities coming at turn 1 and turn 3. I'm joined today in the commentary box, as I will be throughout this season, by a great racing driver, former F1 competitor, man who was world champion once upon a time as well, and an all-round top chap. It's the one and only Anthony Davidson. And tell me, here we are, first Grand Prix of the season, the first time racing these cars. So what are the big questions that need to be answered here, in your view?
First of all, Crofty, and thanks for the glowing introduction. I just want to say it's a real privilege to be here, and I can't wait to see what this competitive field has in store for us this season. Now, to answer your question, obviously there's the question of performance in race trim, but really this is going to be all about reliability. It's the first Grand Prix of the season, don't forget. You're pushing all your new components to their limits. Formula One cars are full of very sophisticated but also very sensitive technology. So the most important thing today is to get to the end of the race, keep everything in good condition, and try to stay out of trouble while you're at it.
Well then, after an exciting qualifying session yesterday, let's take a look at how the cars line up. Sergio Perez will lead us away from pole position, with Esteban Ocon alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Ricciardo, Verstappen, Nico Hülkenberg, and Vettel, Sainz, Bottas, Gasly, and Kimi Raikkonen, Alonso, Magnussen, the captain, and Grosjean, Leclerc, Hartley, Sergei Sirotkin, and Stoffel van Dorn, Ericsson, and Lance Stroll rounds off the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
So there we have it. Unfortunately, we ended up a little bit further down the grid. So here is the strategy. It's going to be the one-stop supers onto the soft tyre for this weekend. I'm going to load the car up with a bit more fuel and just push early on, and hopefully, you know, in the transition period, similar to what we did in Yas Marina, really, just try and, in the pit stop phases, just try and make up a few positions. We are down the field, but I'm fairly confident we have more speed than the cars around us. So we're going to go into the strategy. Of course, we're running a bit more on the rear downforce because I've found that this Mercedes is just has a bit more of a front end on it naturally, so I need to put more on the rear. So it's going to be an interesting one. First time driving this car for the first few circuits. You know, I got used to the Force India last year, so we're really going to have to pay attention to how the car handles, especially in race trim. But I do find myself, you know, as I say, every video apparently we are better on Sunday than we are on Saturday. So let's get into this then for the Australian Grand Prix, the opening round of Season 3. 5 lights are on for the Australian Grand Prix. And lights are out and away we go. From 13th on the grid, we have bogged down a little bit. We're going to move across to the right-hand side. Magnussen's pulled across. Grosjean goes down there inside. We're going to brake, try and make a bit of a gap. Grosjean has made an absolute dive bomb. We slow it down, get on the power early. Grosjean pushes us out a little bit, but we do fight our way past both Haas cars as we go side by side with Magnussen in Alonso's slipstream down towards turn 3. Alonso breaks early. We just about avoid contact with the McLaren. And we're up into P11 behind the Ferrari of Kimi Räikkönen as Bottas is going side by side up the road there with Pierre Gasly, who sneaks ahead of Valtteri Bottas. But we've got a hell of a run on the 3 cars ahead of us, down the inside of Räikkönen, and Bottas maybe into turn 6. Bottas holds it using the curb, and of course his softer tyre gives him the superior traction. But we're in the slipstream of our teammate. Can we make a move into turn 9? We're certainly going to try to. We try and give him the room because he is our teammate. A little bit more respect with Valtteri Bottas, but we push him through up to 9th. 4 places gained on the opening lap of the opening race of Season 3, and now we just need to get our head down, burn some of this fuel off, and try and stick with the opening pack, because I'm fairly confident a few of them have got to do a 2-stopper here, where of course we will be on the 1. So Pierre Gasly and the Toro Rosso looking really strong at the start of the season, at least with him. He's up there with Sebastian Vettel and the Renaults. Of course, it's a Force India 1-2 as it stands at the present. One of them just absolutely streaking away at the front there. Who is that leading the field? It is Sergio Perez, well ahead of Esteban Ocon. Then 2x2 for the Red Bulls and the Renaults. We come across the line 1.3 behind Pierre Gasly. Of course, Bottas still in our slipstream. So let's get our head down. Let's try and see what we can do in the opening stages of this race. As we move into lap 4, we have stuck up behind Gasly quite well. It's been a bit of a break. One of the Renaults there, not sure which one. It looks briefly like it's Carlos Sainz dropping back from his teammate, and of course that is pushing Perez back into Gasly and pushing Gasly back into me as we have a yellow flag in the first race of the season. Someone's moving slow. It's one of the Renaults. It's Nico Hülkenberg, and he looks like it's terminal engine failure. Smoke pouring out the back of the Renault, and unfortunately his season's starting off not very well, and it's a VSC coming out as we nearly plough into the back of Pierre Gasly. And I probably got very lucky there because Bottas looked like he was going to have a go into the left-right chicane. So glad the VSC came out. But now our delta's very high compared to the VSC. And we've lost about half a second there. And I haven't been able to get on the power the way that I wanted to out of the final corner. And it's going to give Bottas a great run on us. We squeeze him to the right-hand side of the circuit. But Bottas pulls ahead into turn 1. He's missed the apex though, so we're going to sweep through and get on the power earlier and go back past our teammate Valtteri Bottas. Tried to be opportunistic, but unfortunately couldn't make it stick into turn 1, as now we've got Vettel going around the outside maybe of Sainz, which moves to the inside of the following corner. Can the Ferrari get the move made on Carlos Sainz? The answer at this moment in time is maybe. No, he has got his way ahead, but Sainz fights back on the inside of turn 6. Gasly is stuck with nowhere to go. As all the cars filter through, we go through the right-hander up towards turn 9. It's 2x2 by 2x2 as we sweep round the outside of Pierre Gasly. Vettel gets the move done on Carlos Sainz. We fight our way around the outside of the Toro Rosso, who is now trying on the outside towards turn 11, but he can't get the move to stick, so we filter our way through. Vettel is now free to chase after the opening pack, and we are in hot lap mode with a bit of DRS. Sainz though going to try and have a go around the outside of Vettel into the final sector. Vettel pushes the Renault wide. Can we try and take advantage? No, we can't do anything in sector 3. We're just going to have to sit behind Sainz now and wait for an opportunity to arise. Meanwhile, the Red Bulls really sticking with the Force Indias. They have definitely brought something to the start of this season, which means they're closer to them. We've hampered our acceleration on the curb on the right-hand side, which is unfortunate, but we're now trying to close down Sainz into turn 1. He has DRS still on Sebastian Vettel. Can we get the run through turns 1 and 2? We're tucked up behind the rear wing of Carlos Sainz. We're going to pull to the inside towards the braking zone. Can we make a move stick? No. Sainz just got ahead of us there on that run. That DRS versus the Ferrari head just too powerful, and we're going to have to sit behind Sainz for the time being. He got just an excellent run through turn 2 down towards turn 3, and there was nothing we could do. The sun now shining a little bit more prevalently at the Australian Grand Prix, and there is a car in the pits. First car making a pit stop. It is a Force India. It is Esteban Ocon, and if he's pitting this early, there's no way he can carry a set of softs to the end. That tells me he's now on a 2-stop strategy, but now we've got it. Sainz might have DRS, but he's not going to have the slipstream on Vettel. He sticks to the right-hand side. We are going to be at a very acute apex into the corner, but we've just about made it through, fighting our way past Carlos Sainz. That is us up into 5th place in the Australian Grand Prix. That is 13th to 5th by lap 9. And now it's just a matter of what we can do for the rest of the afternoon. Bear in mind, we are on a contra strategy to all the guys around us here. Sainz is starting to drop down the field. He's lost out to Pierre Gasly as Vettel is in the pits. Gasly carries on, but Sainz and Valtteri Bottas are in for their pit stops. And this is the sort of region where I would expect guys to start pushing a 1-stop if they're still on the ultra soft tyre, which it looks like both Red Bulls are. Ricciardo in 2nd, Verstappen in 3rd. We're coming in, should be either end of lap 11 or end of lap 12. So Verstappen coming in at the end of lap 10. What tyres is he going to fit? He's on the soft tyre. So Verstappen committing to a 1-stopper. I would imagine Gasly is going to try and do the same. So we basically need to push on for 2 more laps. We're coming in end of lap 12. We easily lead the field of cars that started on the super soft tyre, and we now are going to lead the race. Perez has come out. That's a bold strategy from Perez. He must have complete faith in the upgrades on that Force India for tyre, whereas he's on the super soft tyre. He picked the same lap as Ricciardo, and Ricciardo has come out on the soft. So we've pushed as hard as we possibly can. Bollard number 1 taken out for season 3. Into the pits we come. Get it just slowed down. Perez retakes the lead, and it looks as if more cars are coming in for their one and only pit stop. Ocon on his ultra soft, definitely pitting again. Ricciardo on his soft compound tyre, chasing him down. There goes Grosjean and Verstappen. So both Red Bulls on the soft compound tyre versus the Force Indias. One's on the ultras and one's on the supers. So as we exit the pits, we're ahead of Pierre Gasly and we're ahead of Valtteri Bottas, but we are still behind Sebastian Vettel. So we've came out roughly where I expected us to, in 100% honesty, but now it's pretty much just going to the end of the race. What can we do on this tyre, and what can we do with the laps remaining, as the Force India of Esteban Ocon appears to be in the pits once more, going to be going to a set of super soft tyres, I would imagine, to the end of the race. But that second stop has really put him out of whack, and a contra to everyone else. And Gasly's actually coming back at me on the soft compound tyre. He's really been able to stick with my Mercedes. We set a personal best lap of the Grand Prix, a 23.2. But on to lap 20, we're not really closing down to Vettel, but Gasly really hasn't had a chance at us as Ocon on his tyre, a 22.3. He's going to be trying to charge his way through the field using the superior pace of the car, but pretty much here we were just doing laps. Didn't really have anyone try and really have a go. Gasly was within DRS, but he just really wasn't able to have a crack at it into turn 1 or down into turn 3. Realistically, the best opportunity Gasly really ever got to me was out of turn 9 and 10 and down into the fast chicane, but really that's not an overtaking opportunity. We cranked it up due to saving some fuel on RS, rich and hot lap mode, with a couple of laps left in the Grand Prix to try and just extend the gap so I could be comfortable going into the final few laps. Of course, as the tyres wear down a little bit, we come to the end of lap 26. You can see we have rebuilt the lead to Gasly to well over a second. Is this going to be a personal best lap of the Grand Prix? It is indeed a 22.9, and the gap to Vettel 2.4 seconds. So I sort of started looking ahead rather than behind, thinking, can I do anything about this gap? So I pretty much I'd used most of my ERS. We kept it in hot lap mode, and I really turned the engine up as and when I needed to. So we're going to try 3 laps remaining, if you include the one we're on, to close down on Sebastian Vettel. You never know what's going to happen as we come out the final corner. We've still, like I said, easily built the lead to Gasly. We come across the line onto the final lap, and the gap is 1.9. So we're not able to close in on the Ferrari. If anything, I can just hope now that Bottas is able to fight his way past Pierre Gasly to get a 5-6 for Mercedes here at Australia. But I personally think we've done really, really well. We got our elbows out early on in the Grand Prix where we needed to, put the hammer down when it was appropriate, and we've been able to just fight our way up into the points considering where we started. Sergio Perez wins the opening round of the season for his for Force India. He was able to get that one stop to work, ultras to supers. That was an incredible strategy he has pulled off there, and that enabled him to just go that much faster in the second stint and build a gap through to the pair of Red Bulls. I believe it is Ricciardo leading home Max Verstappen for a Red Bull 2-3, so they are now back on form, and let's see if they're going to be in contention for the championship this season. As we come around the final corner, Vettel is going to get P4. We're going to come across the line. Considering we started 13th, we swapped through the cameras for some reason, but I'm happy with P5.
All right, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
It's time to present the top drivers with their trophies for today's Grand Prix. And there are a lot of people in the paddock very happy with this result. It's Force India on the top step.
So there you have it, Sergio Perez pulling off that masterstroke one stop, saving his tyres. He is a tyre-saving god to get the win at the first round of the season at the Australian Grand Prix. Daniel Ricciardo bringing it home in P2 and Max Verstappen their P3, getting the one stop to work, even though they were going ultras, 2 soft compound tyres, and that's of course what Vettel got to work to get P4. We brought it home from outside the top 10 with the super softs, 2 soft compound tyres. That got us P5, and we really got our head down, and we set a lap time faster than the 2 cars ahead of us, so we were in the 22s, so fairly happy with the pace we showed. Pierre Gasly really showing some speed for Toro Rosso there, much more so than Brendan Hartley getting 6th. Valtteri Bottas just not quite able to get past him in the end, brings it home 7th, but we will take the points for Mercedes. Carlos Sainz dropped down a little bit considering he showed some promise early on. Esteban Ocon's 2-stop strategy really did not work, and the same can be said for Kimi Räikkönen there, P10 for Ferrari. It goes to show that the one stop is clearly the way to go around Australia. So we're going to head in, take a look briefly at the driver standings just to see the points, but obviously they are the same as the race results. So of course Perez leads away 7 points ahead of Ricciardo, 10 points ahead of Verstappen. Then of course it goes down to Vettel and myself, but Red Bull lead the way, 33 points with their second and third, and then of course Force India 27 points and Mercedes in third with the 16 points ahead of Ferrari, as the main contributor there was Sebastian Vettel. McLaren, Haas, Williams and Sauber not getting points. Let's catch up with Claire and talk about our race.
Good day today. Tell us about it from your perspective. Did you struggle to get through all that traffic today?
Not necessarily. I think it was just a matter of getting the elbows out and showing that we're here to play with the engine upgrades we did over the winter.
Do you think you were lucky not to end your race with that crash?
There were no real major crashes, a few sort of like friendly bumps, but nothing major.
Well, thanks anyway.
So speaking of that development, we have 1,390 resource points. So we're going to come in, look at the powertrain. Look, Force India are just too far ahead for my liking. Even the Renault engine in the back of the Aston Martin, Red Bull, and of course in the factory team. So we're going to get another minor engine upgrade. That will be coming for Bahrain, the next race on the calendar, which of course is a very heavy power-based circuit. Pretty much I'm just going to pump everything into getting all the engine power upgrades for this Mercedes, and then I'll focus probably more on the chassis side of things, because that's where the car really lets us down. Downforce-wise, we're like number 1 or 2. So in the corners, the car's great. We just need more oomph, essentially. But thank you for watching the season opener of Season 3 at the Australian Grand Prix. Hit like if you did enjoy and comment any feedback down below. Second stint, you didn't really see too much, because it was just, like I said, I was just doing laps, trying to keep, you know, Gasly at bay while he never really had a go at me, and I really couldn't close into to Vettel. But I want this to be the season where we really have a go at winning the championship. You know, I truly think we can do it in Season 3. We did it in F1 2017, if, you know, the guys you were watching around then with the McLaren. We did like a Road to Glory. Of course, we've been like a Mercedes reserve driver career almost. You know, we started off Williams for the first 8 races. They really didn't value me, so we went to Force India. We're there for just over a year. And then, of course, when Hamilton stepped out of Formula 1, we are now in the Mercedes, myself and Valtteri Bottas, you know, the level 200 porridge boss. going to be trying to, he hasn't got the beard actually, he's more like level 100. But either way, we're going to be trying to bring the Mercedes up to the front of the field, and it's going to be a matter of when we win, not if we win. So stay tuned for that. Be subscribed and enable them notifications to keep you up to date with the content that comes to the channel. And I will, of course, see you all next time.